It's interesting to me that Bollywood films are one of the biggest grossers in the whole of the world, but I for one was never really taught much about them, other than I think one lesson maybe in world cinema. It's a massive shame, as some of these that I've watched this week have been just as good, if not better, than their Western competition. There is such a sheer volume to get through, and they're often a lot longer than your average Hollywood movie, which I guess can put some people off. I think the average length here clocked in at 3 hours, which definitely can affect the watch, without interval. I mean, even the opening credits go on for some time in pink. There's some audio over the top so that the audience doesn't quite know what's going on, until we see two groups of people heading away from an event, one of which contains a man with a severely bleeding head. So sets the scene that defines the rest of the film. Three seemingly innocent women are complicated in a crime involving a rape and attempted murder, and need retired an ageing lawyer played by Amitabh Bachchan to defend them. It's a courtroom drama with tension that mounts all the way to the end. When the audience gets to see over the end credits what happened before the opening scene, we are no longer shocked. It's just a nice vignette that explains to us what we already knew. Bachchan is excellent, and the characters of Rajveer Singh and his cronies are absolutely detestable. The film is more than just a war of the sexes, it's a war of the classes, and a compelling look at institutional sexism and the deplorability of the court system that asks the viewer, how helpful is it to put a victim, any victim, on the stand, or even on trial? A satisfying watch that will have you talking to the screen. I have heard many differing opinions on Three Idiots, arguably the most famous of Bollywood's recent films. I had heard it was too slow for Western audiences, but I'd say it was more in the style of a comedy mystery than anything else. Maybe its nearly 3-hour runtime is what would put some off. The film follows three friends as they make their way through 4 years of high-achieving engineering school, but some of their hearts aren't really in it. Amir Khan, at 44 years old, still manages to convey the cool exterior of a popular school rebel, akin to the Fonz or James Dean. He's confident and takes great pains to annoy the college professor, aptly named Virus, whilst in turn attempting to woo Virus's daughter. There's a great love song, Zooby Dooby, that I've been humming since I watched it, but that's not the only one. There's All Is Well, which is the most upbeat song that goes crashing out of your head when just after the most poignant moment in the film occurs. I won't spoil it here, but that's what this film does best. It blends the comedy of real life one moment with the sad and realistic approach to familial pressure around mental health. We see the school days in flashback as the real story unfolds. Why did such tight-knit best friends stop seeing each other after they finished university? It's a fun-filled story that rightly deserves its recognition as the highest-grossing Indian film of all time when it was first released. More work from the great Amir Khan here. In his thus far only co-director credited film, Tari Zameen Par, like Stars on Earth to give its English name, which I can actually pronounce, a kid around 8 or 9 is struggling in his classes, whilst his older brother overachieves. The first half of the movie follows Ishan, played incredibly well and cutely by the young Darshil Safari, as he struggles with falling behind and his inability to make the rest of the people in his life understand his dilemma. He is moved to a better school, away from where his loving brother's legend casts a shadow over him, but continues to struggle. Until, here we go, new teacher Ram Shankar Nakum, played by, who else, Amir Khan, recognises the signs of dyslexia that he himself exhibited as a kid. With the new teacher's help, will Ishan catch up with his classmates, or discover a new superpower that none of his contemporaries can meet? Watch to find a poignant, true-to-life story that is worth watching for any younger sibling, or anyone who has ever felt inferior. Please forgive my pronunciation, but Diwali Dilhania Le Jayeng begins set in London, where a young graduate woman, Simran, is desperate to travel to Europe with her friends, before she goes to India to meet her betrothed in a family-arranged marriage. Whilst in Europe, Simran falls in love with Raj, a handsome and clever man, also brought up in London, but by his father, a thoroughly more modern Hindi man than Simran's father, Chowdhury Baldev Singh. The trouble continues as the Singhs travel to India, where the wedding nuptials get closer and closer. It's typical rom-com fare. Raj is a bit of a slacker, never realising his true potential until he meets his love, and the dance numbers are excellent, but none of the songs as memorable as the dance sequences. There's a nice difference between the behaviours of everyone in London and India. Raj's stealing of beer even though he's underage comes to mind. The family comes first narrative is very important here, as ever. Eloping for the two lovers, or even the thought of disobeying their parents, is completely ignored, even when it seems as if it could be a much simpler outcome. Typical story that even when the ending seemed like it could have gone another way, a bit too cliched for my liking, might as well have been watching a recent Hollywood movie. Many of the films I've reviewed today have been romantic, and Sholay, whilst there are elements of that within it, is distinctly a western in the vein of Leone or Kurosawa. Dacoit western, I think the phrase is. I mean, it bears all the hallmarks: the train robbery, an incredible scene, a last man standing standoff, some prison escapes, a lot of prison escapes actually. Sholay is an action-adventure movie about Jai and Viru, two best friend criminals who are hired by a former lawman to capture the villainous bandit, Gabbar Singh, who has killed his family in cold blood. We find out why the lawman can't take him alone at the midpoint of the film, a nice interval cliffhanger that I didn't see coming. The story is mainly about the friendship between Jai, played by Amitabh Bachchan, the old lawyer from Pink that I reviewed earlier, and Viru. Their friendship and camaraderie in the face of danger allows the filmmakers to make believable the many escapades that they face. Their performances elevate the film above its contemporaries of the era. The weaker points in the film are when it tries to be comic, taking us out of the action. Don't get me wrong, there are good scenes within the jailhouse with Charlie Chaplin-esque dictator, and when Viru tries to win the heart of the great female character Basanti. But in the context of the film and next to the violence, don't work overly well. It's well worth a watch, and a scene towards the end where Basanti dances for the life of her lover was particularly emotion-inducing. I would definitely watch again and recommend to any feeling the need for a long, drawn-out western. Thanks for watching, gang. Be sure to check out a few of these movies somehow, somewhere, and I'll see you next week. Not long till lockdown's over now. Stay vigilant and stay alert, whatever that means. Diwali Duhania Le Hyang. Diwali Duhanlia